Hi, I'm Gary White for Central Kentucky Television. I'm at Springview Hospital, and I'm here with Dr. P.J. Person, who is going to tell us a little about colon cancer awareness, because March is Colon Cancer Awareness Month. We were actually in the suite where you performed the colonoscopies here at Springview Hospital, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Tell us, who is at risk of getting colon cancer?
Well, number one, everyone is at risk of getting colon cancer. Okay. The risk goes up as we get older, and some people are at an increased risk because of their family history.
Okay. So there is a hereditary element to it?
Yes.
Okay. What kind of time frame should people start considering getting a colonoscopy?
People that have no family history, or I should say no close family history of colon cancer, generally need to start having colonoscopies at age 50.
Okay.
People with family history need to do it earlier, depending on what their family history was.
Okay. Now, colon cancer is actually a cancer that, if found early, is rather treatable. Is that correct?
That is correct. The earlier it's found, the more likely it is to be cured, which is one of the main reasons for having colonoscopies. And by the time people can feel that something is wrong, it's much, much less likely to be cured.
Okay. So we talked about colonoscopies, and some people I know have an apprehension to getting one. Tell us, what's the procedure for a colonoscopy? What's involved?
Okay. The part that people hate the most is actually the prep that they have to do beforehand, which no one enjoys it, but it's not as bad as some people make it out, and it's also not nearly as bad as it was 5, 10 years ago. The actual procedure is done in this endoscopy suite or in the endoscopy suite right next to this, which is more or less identical to this one. And throughout the whole procedure, there's somebody here from anesthesia, and you're asleep for for the whole procedure. And
is it like, how long does it usually take for a colonoscopy?
20, 30 minutes, depending on what we find in there.
Okay, so the procedure itself is only about 20 or 30 minutes, and it is the same day. You come in that day and leave that day, traditionally, normally, unless something's found, I assume,
yes.
Right? Okay. And when you do a colonoscopy, if something is found, then there's a consultation afterwards. Is that correct?
Right. Well, first of all, depending on what we find, we either remove it or biopsy it,
Okay.
and then we talk about the results from the biopsies afterwards.
And when we're saying removing, you're talking about like a polyp or something that would be found on the colon? Is that correct?
Most polyps can be removed through the scope.
And not all polyps are cancerous, correct?
Right. There are several different kinds of polyps, and only some of them have risk of turning into cancers.
And as we said, all that procedure can be done here at Springview Hospital. They do have the suites to perform those procedures for you, correct?
Correct.
So if somebody does have a family history of colon cancer, what can they be doing to help themselves for potentially not getting it in the future?
The biggest part is to start having colonoscopies, usually at an age younger, often usually 10 years younger than the relative. 40. Right. Than the relative who
had the cancer.
Yeah,
okay.
right. 10 years younger than the relative who had the cancer.
Okay. Okay. And it can happen at any age, I assume, right? Colon cancer.
Right. It can happen at any age, but it is very rare in very young people.
Okay. Now, how about those who do not have a history of colon cancer? Are there any things that they should be doing that could prevent them from possibly developing it in the future?
Nothing that's been persistently proven.
Okay. Well, that's good. There's nothing that actually they're doing that leads to colon cancer that people know of.
Well, there are diets.
Mm-hmm. That
more red meat, more alcohol, increase the risk.
Potentially for colon cancer. Okay. So again, March is Colon Cancer Awareness Month, and you can get your colonoscopy here at Springview Hospital. Dr. Person is one of the professionals who can take care of you here as well. And anything else we need to know about colon cancer awareness?
I think this is a good start for it.
Great. So be sure to get your colonoscopy scheduled if you're 50 and do not have a family history, correct?
Correct.
Or if you have a family history, try and determine at what age that individual was diagnosed, and then you may want to talk to your doctor to get that scheduled about 10 years earlier than that.
Correct.
For it. So, come on Springview Hospital, they can perform your whole procedure. It's been Gary White for Central Kentucky Television.